What's good with YouTube? You already know Big Flocka from a Convicts Reaction, where we smash, dash, and react. And say, check this out, man. Please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support this channel, and hit that bell notification for future fire reactions, man. So today, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take it way back. We're gonna take it back to a video that Savage Studios did, and we're gonna react to it. I haven't really watched this video, believe it or not, yet. It's about the Norteno Sureno truce that was being discussed on social media. And I've never looked at it as a truce. I've always looked at it as the ability to coexist. Some relationships are going to be stronger at different facilities, but they're each their own entity. So let's look at it, man. Let's see what Savage was talking about, man. Rest in peace to Savage, man. This video had about 318,000 views. Let me get to it, guys. I'm going to get to it right now.
Yo, it's crazy. YouTube, what's the deal? What's going on, savages, man? Thanks for tuning in for another episode of some juicy ass shit that we're going to talk about today. So go ahead and smash that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and drop a comment. And when you subscribe, go ahead and make sure to hit that bell, so anytime I drop some more gibberish, anytime I drop another video, whether or not you like it, whether or not you do like it, whether or not you rocking with me, or you don't feel like you rocking with me, whatever the case.
Some of his best videos were probably his first videos, I believe. I think it started to change a little bit, but he started to age a little different. And I think that he realized some of his content caused a little bit more issues in his life.
Maybe you will be alerted that I have a video dropping, and you can go check it out. Drop a comment, disrespect, whatever it is you feel like. Anyhow, we're gonna be getting into that northerner and that southerner truce going on in the pen, man. You know, they waving white flags now at each other. Why are they doing this? Smells like money, money, money. Anyways, so
Everybody knows it's kind of self-evident that the financial rewards and benefits of being able to coexist on these yards are there. It's been about almost 40 years before a lot of these dudes were back out there in the main line. As far as those that were part of these organizations. So when you get out these main lines, there's money to be made, man. And I think that it took a lot of like-minded individuals who had a common goal, that they seen that being in the shoe, there wasn't enough stuff to let them flourish. They were making more money. They were making money on the outside, but what comes with that is indictments after indictment after indictment. You take everything to a prison yard, hey, you're gonna have the same people you have on the streets in prison. Dope fiends, people that need their drugs, people that got their hustles and whatnot. So therefore, someone's gonna be controlling those rackets. It's these organizations. So it's all about the money.
2013, 2014, I want to say 2013, we had these hunger strikes going in Corcoran. They were statewide, but I was in Corcoran shoe, took part in them. Not even that I had to, but I took part in them, and because I respected the cause, and a few homies died. A few homies died behind that hunger strike. So I want to go ahead and say rest in peace to them, and condolences go out to them and their families, because they were doing it for a great cause. People don't understand that in prison, CDCR, correctional officers, wardens, captains, all of them work together to go ahead and deprive of us of.
He's right on that. See, that's the problem sometimes, that even when you have people who are on the inactive side, PC side, active side, the inability to be able to work towards common goals kind of will set everybody back in prison. There comes a time when people have to put their personal issues to the side, deal with things that are going to be the greater good for all inmates that come in the system. But too often, man, people harbor animosity. They have their certain beliefs. And see, that happened in Corcoran when I was there, Corcoran Shoe. There was a BGF member who disrespected an NF member named Chilo from Saho. We wouldn't acknowledge him. And based upon the fact that we would not acknowledge him, the blacks wouldn't take part in any of our grievances. This was around 2003, I think it happened, all the way up to 2007 when I left.
Deprive us of our rights and just basic common basic decency, common decency, courtesy, the little things that you would give a human being. They try to rip that from us, and what they tell the public or what goes on news is a whole nother story. So anyways, let's get into it, man. Today I'm having to use my phone because my SD card screwed up on my 4K on the little camcorder or whatever. So, bear with me, people. How I feel about the whole thing is this. I was actually one of the last dudes out of court. When I left Corcoran, they were like emptying out Corcoran. After the hunger strikes, a lot of shit happened. You know, they had come to the understanding that, yeah, you know, we're going to get pull-up bars and all this other shit in our workout cages in the shoe now, which is cool. But a lot of things changed. And one of the biggest things that changed was letting the big homies out of the cages and kicking them back.
You know, part of the process of individuals that were going through this end-all hostilities getting out, that there were some of them that were being sent out to talk to IGIs and different investigators to make sure that they were going to be able to coexist before this happened. There was actually some homeboys that actually got rushed in North Kern back in 2015 because they were taken out at the time with other Southsiders, and a lot of the Southsiders did not know what was going on. Because whatever was happening in the shoe, it was a different story on the level 4 yards, right? So there had to be discussions, and it took a while for everything to get pushed out there, man. But there was some actual incidents to where, you know, active cats were rushing each other because they were being put in a situation where they ran into each other. And everybody knows in North Kern, it was cracking off for a minute, man. So a lot of truth to this.
Back to the yards. And when they did this, you have to understand their frame of mind was, no matter who you are, what you've done, or how much work you put in, you don't want to go back to living that way. You don't want to go back to 23 hours of lockdown a day. And these guys, some of these guys have been back there for 15, 20, 25 years or so. Sure. And so when they came out, you're damn right they were willing to entertain a conversation, at the very least, about, hey, how the fuck do we make sure that we don't all go back? Those conversations were already taking place. Because what they have now, CDC had to basically wrap it all up in a pretty little bow and basically say, hey, look, we're not going to give you indeterminate shoe terms because that shit got taken away. And I know because I have had a few of them motherfucking indeterminate shoe terms, which is basically every 6 months you go to committee, you go talk to them, and if you don't get in any trouble within 6 months, they discuss whether or not they want to take you off indeterminate shoe term. Anyways, it's not your lucky day, and I've been in that position a few times. Anyways, so after all this incentivizing shit started, I saw everything coming. I saw it all coming before it came. Just like I knew about the, you know, mixing the STG groups. STG is a security threat group, a prison security threat group. You have STG 1s and STG 2s. STG 1s are the more traditional historical groups that started in prison, right? Yes. We'll just go ahead and say the GP ones, right? Just so I don't have to mention any organizations and shit, and you guys can draw your conclusions from that. And then STG 2s, these are second tier gangs.
Crips,
you know, you got all the S and Y ones, so that's all PC ones. So you got 2-5, Northern Riders, Independent Riders, Brothers by Choice, Dropout Skinheads. The list goes on. There's just a gang. You know, S and Y yards now are just grown up. It's like a grown up YA. You know, everybody's just clicked up, pushing up on each other. No one's got to answer to nobody. You can get on with the black.
The thing I used to always like about Savage Studios is this, right? Is he's a lot more intelligent than sometimes people give him credit. His worst moments, though, and sometimes his funniest moments, though, were when he was drinking too much.
Dude, you can get down with a white dude, you can get down with a yellow dude, you can get down with a pink dude.
Yeah, true.
You can just get down wherever you feel like you can just get down, man to man shit. Anyways, so that was part of their incentivizing. So I remember they even handed out this memo. Basically, they handed it out to S and Y, they handed it out to GP, and it was basically saying you have to denounce your gang affiliation to any security threat group if you
told you they were doing IGI interviews.
You want to be on these certain yards. Now, this was happening on the level 4s, but on the 270s. So it was like, okay, I can see how this happening. Some 270 level 4s are turned down anyways. They're kind of soft. But then this shit hit Kern Valley, A yard. They hit A yard, right? Both of these are GP, B yard and A yard. And they handed out, and it was the denunciation paper. And believe it or not, a lot of active homies were signing this fucking paper. So what was happening to them, it was signing this paper to stay on this yard, and they were going to turn this yard into an EPF, Enhanced Programming Facility Yard. So we're talking about nothing big. You're talking about maybe getting some microwaves and some like little quirks, tablets and shit, you know what I mean? But it was tripping me out. That
trips me out because we never had this shit in my time era.
It was happening on the level 4 180 active. So these dudes who were signing this shit, which was fucking stupid. Bro, I wasn't even signing it, and I'm not even active. I wasn't even signing the paper because, you know, I got homies that'll be like, hey, bro, you know, we're not trying to sign no papers and shit like that saying anything, you know. These active homies were signing it, going over to B Yard, and then they were having their own homies on B Yard blasting them, taking off on them because no, duh, you weren't supposed to be signing shit like that, you active idiot. So, anyways, these were just like weird little steps that they were taking within the Department of Corrections to just incentivize, make you work like a little hamster on that wheel, running for that cheese, running for that little, you know what I mean? Like, come on, I can't afford to pay you $1,000 if they find this wheelie on the tier while we're trying to fish it in.
Yep.
I can't afford to sit here and let you poke on me for an accidental fuck up. You see what I'm saying? So that expectation of perfection is slowly but surely fading away. Anyways, much respect to the homies, you know, to the big homies on this side, to the big homies on up north. Much respect to the gente, to the raza for being able to come together, click up, and fight for a better future. You know, that's so commendable. You know, I can respect that. However,
you know, talking to fucking Savage Studios, man, I think that you know, he liked the idea of Raza getting along. Even in the end, he said, "I'll help all Raza get along," before he died. And I think it was the wrong people who got put in positions, and some of the choices that he's seen is why he had some hostilities towards a certain group. You know, which kind of, you know, it's he only knows history. He only knew his truth and his story, and that's what he experienced, man. So at times it gets hard, you know, to really express yourself.
Let's not play games here, people. Money makes the world go round. If there wasn't money involved in this shit, if there wasn't no incentive, which was what CDC, very strategic. So that truth just showed to me a certain level of understanding with how the world is going, because it's 2019. Come on, people, you really think it's going to be 2019 with all this hipster shit and all this, the way things are changing, and it's not going to affect prison? You really think the circle of life goes everywhere other than prison? Look at history. Read some history books. You can go all the way to Greek mythology with it, and you'll see how empires fold, rebuild.
You know, there's these. If you look through history, man, you see the rise and divide and all that, and that's just human nature. Is what he's pretty much getting at. That no matter what, it could be anything. There's always going to be someone who's going to sit there and have issues with who you are, what you represent, or what you're doing, or worried about what the next man has, and that's where all the hate comes from. Because people worry about everything and anything they can about you, man, but they don't want to worry about keeping their side of the street clean. Good one, Savage. That's a good one on that. Respect it.
Fold, rebuild. Destruction is absolutely mandatory. Absolutely. Much respect, salute. But the times are changing. The homies are changing. People always love their culture. Brown pride until I die. People like, you know, they got the black pride, they got the white pride. Pride in everything you believe in. But you know what? We live in a generation, we live in a time where politics and race are not going to no longer mesh with each other, because these generations that are coming up, my generation, it's harder and harder for me to hate other races, because I like other races. True. I like people. I like white people.
Good points, man. Because one thing I
love black people.
I know Savage Studios used to hang out with a lot of the brothers on the yard, believe it or not, when he was on the SY side, and I knew that because I heard from people that were on the yard with him. You know, he said he was a little wild, you know, but you know, it's true, man. The prison politics and the active side, you kind of start to separate from groups to where you have to only associate with your race, or some groups that maybe associate with your race. And a lot of times, man, there's a lot of conflict that have occurred that to where it becomes strictly about your race.
White people, I love everybody. I love Asians. I love.
He did a video about the
Latinos. I love
and white. I like that.
You know, Native Americans. I love them all. And it's like you get to prison and you're told to be racist. You're told to hate these other peoples and their values, and you know it's just impossible.
One thing about Savage Studios, man, if you really listen to his content and you don't think of the stuff that he did that people didn't like, dude had a good head on his shoulders, man. It's just sometimes the way he applied applied stuff when he was drunk, the things he said, it kind of rubbed a lot of people wrong. Anyways, I'm gonna probably end this one right here, guys. Let me see. Yeah, there it is, man. It's a little bit about. I played about 60% of the video. I fast forwarded a little bit. It was a good video. You know, I think that people don't realize that everything that's been going on with the end all hostilities. And I talked to Southsiders, I talked to homeboys. There is no exact peace treaty. It's a coexisting. Like they still run their operations, they still run their security. Some places they get along better. You know, one told me that a northerner was walking by recently, and you know, on instinct, he said, "Hey, come over here. You want to have this burrito?" Boom, they share. Some of the Southsiders still have their beliefs, like they won't eat or drink after an Africano, but that's how their group operates. You can't fault that. And maybe some Northerners do the same thing. I don't know. I'm not there, but it's a good video, man. I think there's a lot of videos that you may want to tap in that are old that Savage Studios did that people forget, man. He was the one that really brought attention to the Gabriel Fernandez case. Remember that? Or Ramirez, in one case, I think it was. He did some of those shoe stories. He did one on Fenton. He did one on, you know, Asuna, Little Loquito. So he got some good stories, man. With that said, man, rest in peace to Savage, man. You know, I hope your family's doing well as well. Take care. Everybody out there, a convict's reaction.